Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Abyss. I'm Rob of the Actors Workshop, and we are moving along to 2013. I'm going to do one of those backwards things today, where I'm going to do the music first and then do the films. I'm only going to show two records, so don't fast forward through this part. Sit and watch it. I know some of you guys like the music and check it out, but I have some pretty cool stuff. I do want to talk about two that I'm not going to show. One, John Oliva solo album under the moniker of Oliva. Very similar to a lot of the solo work he does, but this is just him solo. And he's very talented. He plays piano, guitar, bass, drums, does everything. And he's done that on a lot of his records. But it gives him an opportunity to expand his talents. And it's a really good record. I'm not showing it to you because I've shown enough of that kind of stuff and all of his different stuff, and you get the idea. But I did want to mention it. The other one I wanted to mention is Black Sabbath 13. It's their final album, supposedly. First one with Ozzy in many, many years. It's strong. It's good. I give it a solid B. I love Tony Iommi. If you listen to any of these videos and I've mentioned him and talked about his story with his fingers and all that stuff, it's hard not to be inspired by him, and it's hard not to like him, and his riffs are iconic, and I'm a big fan. There's a reason why they call him the Godfather. This was also the album they toured on for their final tour, which they called The End. So by all accounts, this seems to be it, but you never know. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but those are two albums that I wanted to mention. Now I have two albums that I want to show you guys. First one is Volbeat, Outlaw Gentlemen and Shady Ladies. And then the other one is Ghost, Infest Izumam, which is their second album. And it's funny because they had some kind of legal deal during this period, so they actually had to call themselves Ghost BC in the U.S. for a short period of time, and this is the only album that is on there. But what I love about Ghost is they reinvent themselves every single time that they put out a record. Well, first of all, the band is called the Nameless Ghouls. Nobody knows who they are. Dave Grohl has played drums live with them, and you wouldn't know if you saw him live or not. He could have been at a show that I was at. And then the lead character is a character named Papa Emeritus. And Papa Emeritus, very similar, like a Pope type thing, was Papa Emeritus 1 for the first album we talked about a couple of days ago. And then this is Papa Emeritus 2. And so, not only are they evolving as the characters that they are, but their music, like we said in the first album, their debut, it sounds a lot like 70s hard rock, Blue Oyster Cult-esque. And then this is, a little bit stronger with keyboards and stuff. It's still a rock and roll album, but just very different sounding, where keyboards are a little bit stronger than the guitars. But there's some really good tunes in here. Secular Haze is really good. Year Zero, Body and Blood, Monstrous Clock, and many others. It's really good. And talking about the covers, this cover is taken from the cover of Amadeus, as you can tell, in their own little way. So once again, there is that connection between the music and movies. Tobias is a big fan of movies, and as I show you stuff, I will show you more and more of those connections that he has. Back to Volbeat, we haven't talked about them yet. They're a cool rock and roll band. I don't even know if necessarily I would say they're heavy metal. They're hard rock. But have a really unique sound in how they do things. This was the first album I had purchased of theirs, and I love it. It's my favorite. I have all of them, and I think they do a great job, but this is my favorite. It kind of makes me feel like, they had a thought of the Old West. Matter of fact, they had to have. When you listen to, the song titles, Lola Montez, Hangman's Body Count, Doc Holliday, which is my favorite on this, Dead But Rising, Lonesome Rider, Room 24, which they sing with a heavy metal singer, King Diamond, who I haven't talked about. I'm a big fan of King Diamond. So, just to name a few of those song titles, you kind of hear the theme in the songs, that it kind of just sounds like the Old West. And then, of course, you mentioned Doc Holliday. That is the Old West, right? But I like bands who are creative. I like bands who are unique. I like the good lyric writing, and then the good music goes with it. Super cool album title, right? Outlaw Gentlemen and Shady Ladies kind of fits that theme as well. But a really cool band, and some really good songs on here. This is one of those bands I've mentioned in class before, and a few of my students have checked them out and they're like, wow, they are really good. I actually put it on my gym playlist. So I think, you absolutely got to check out Ghost. Just because of the themes and the connection with movies and stuff, not necessarily in music, but just overall in the thoughts. I like to support that kind of stuff, and then Volbeat. So those are my top two for 2013. I don't have a winner. I don't have a loser. I don't have a tie. It's just they're both great. So I guess that would be a tie for 2013. All right. On the film side, I'm gonna start with a comedy. We're the Millers. It's an okay comedy. It's funny in parts, but I wanted to bring up this movie for two reasons. First and foremost, okay. I was going to the movies with my wife, Amy, and in 2013, and we don't go to the movies that often, but we took our daughter Emma to a thing at the Universal Amphitheater, and so we went to the theaters there at the Universal City Walk, and we're like, I wanted to go see a specific movie, which I will talk about later on in this group. But my friend's like, you've got to see We Are the Millers. It's hysterical, blah, blah, blah. I go and see it, and I'm sitting through it going, you got to be kidding me. Yeah, I laughed in certain parts, and it was funny, and the second time I saw it, it was better. But to miss what I wanted to watch, and then of course I go to see that, and I'm seeing the beginning of that. I'm like, okay, now we're talking, and then we get the phone call that they're done and we're out of the movie. So I had to wait a while to see it, and we'll get to that in a bit. But the other reason I wanted to talk about this was because Jennifer Aniston. We're always talking about a formula for actors and a consistency. Jennifer Aniston is one of those actresses, right? She has a formula, and she does it in all of her movies, and she's really consistent. And it doesn't matter if it's just straight on Jennifer Aniston, or it's Jennifer Aniston who's a little bit more, flighty like she is in Along Came Polly, or in this where she's a stripper. It's still Jennifer Aniston. She has that approach like we talk about, where this is her job, and she goes and deals with her job. And when her job changes, she adapts to that job. She doesn't change. She just adapts to that job. And that's what makes her really, really strong and really, really consistent. So the main reason I wanted to bring this up, beyond just going, I don't know what my friend was thinking, Jennifer Aniston and how, consistent and good that she does. All right. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I really liked this movie. I love the way it's shot. Some of the scenery is just gorgeous. It's unique, it's different, and it's a little bit different of Ben Stiller, and he does a really good job. I really did enjoy this movie when I saw it. I kind of wish I had it in Blu-ray, because the colors are at times very vibrant, and it would be nice to see that in high def, but this is pretty close, and it's good enough. And what's nice is now I'm kind of toward the end of buying DVDs, a lot more Blu-rays, which is nice. I love the technology. But anyways, a really good, solid, unique, fun movie. And if you haven't seen it, you need to check it out. All right. The Internship. What can I say? Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. You're always going to get good stuff when you have them, right? And they do a great job. I think in a sense, the movie makers were trying to recreate the Wedding Crashers movie in a different way with The Internship. It's not close to what Wedding Crashers is, but it's still a solid comedy, and it has a lot of great moments in it, and it is a rewatchable. Like, this is one that you can watch when it's on TV and enjoy it, or you can pop it in and enjoy it. The whole idea of, them at the library and doing their interview, and when they're at Google and the interaction with the other people and how they are, they do a funny job. And the supporting cast does a really good job. Not the best actors in the world, but all they have to do is grab on for the ride, right? And let these two carry you, because they're the masters at this kind of banter, kind of comedy. And they do a really good job, in this movie. I really did. I actually saw it in the theater twice. My buddy Jason had preview tickets for it, so we went and saw the preview, and then I saw it again. I believe with Amy. But for me to go to the theater twice to see a movie, I'm going to enjoy it and like it, and I really do. I do believe this is kind of the end of the Vince Vaughn run, though. Yes, he did other movies like Dilemma and stuff like that. Not the Dilemma, we talked about that. That one's pretty good. Delivery Man. It's just dragged on, and it's too much. And then there's the one he did with James Franco's brother, where they're some kind of businessman. It just enough, you know. So to me, this is the last really strong Vince Vaughn comedy. But that's my opinion, and that's what this is about. You know, is my favorites, what I like, what I don't like, etc. So you know, I think you know, this is worth a watch. All right, kind of changing gears here. Gatsby, Leonardo DiCaprio. We all know the story, and I actually prefer the Robert Redford one. Maybe that's because I saw it back when I was a kid, and that's just what it is, you know. But I think he does a really good job in this, and I think the colors are really good in this. I think it's shot really good. I think it's really nice, and it looks really good in high def. And, you know, we talked about it. He's kind of growing into a man at this point, and he does a really good, consistent job in all of his work. And this was a surprise for me, right? This was one of those, you know, Amy wanted me to buy it for, you know, on Black Friday. It was like $4.99. I'm like, sure. And it was a pleasant surprise. It's a really good film. Like I said, check out the first one from 74, Robert Redford. I think it's 74. I may be wrong, but, you know, check that one out. And then also check this one out. All right, the sports movie for 2013, 42. What can I say? You know, we've been talking in class about, you know, different work time periods of, you know, understanding, dealing, and believing and living in those periods. Well, you know, this is one of those type movies. You know, Chadwick Boseman really does a nice job as Jackie Robinson. I think he's a pretty solid actor. You know, you believe the roles that you're watching, and in this one, you believe he's Jackie Robinson. You know, Harrison Ford. You know, when you have that kind of guy playing Branch Rickey, it makes it easy to watch a film, and it's a unbelievable story. And it like I said, it takes you to a period of time where we have to understand a different way of thinking, a different way of behavior, a different way of living. We just don't understand it. We can imagine it, but we don't understand it. And that's what acting does. And not only for us as actors, lets us get into the footsteps of that period of time, of different, you know, situations, different people, etc. But it also takes the audiences there and helps the audience understand different times and different places. We as actors are time travelers, right? We get to go be us, and we get to be us in different situations. It's the only chance to be on the Titanic. It's the only chance to be in the Civil War. It's the only chance to be, you know, in Brooklyn, you know, when Jackie Robinson's coming up and all of the things that he had to deal with. But Branch Rickey, and they really kind of show this in the movie, he knew he had the right ball player in Jackie Robinson. You know, yeah, at times it was close to getting to him, but he was mentally strong and was able to fight through and really help, you know, push that barrier in pro sports. Like I said, a really good, strong sports film with a statement with it. So, you know, hopefully you've all seen it. If you haven't, it needs to be watched. All right, The Wolverine, the second part of the Wolverine trilogy with Hugh Jackman. Like I said, not a big X-Men fan, but I really do like the Wolverine series. This is number 2. Not as good as number 1 in my opinion, not as good as number 3 in my opinion, but it's still in its own right a really strong film. I enjoy it. I think Hugh Jackman, like I've said many times, is as good as an actor that we have today, as talented as an actor as we have today. He's very good and does a really good job in this. It's a really enjoyable movie. A good fun comedy, Robert De Niro, Michelle Pfeiffer, The Family. You know, we've talked about De Niro in this day and age playing off of that image of, you know, Raging Bull, The Deer Hunter, Godfather 2, Goodfellas, Casino, and having that kind of image. And now you put him in kind of fun comedies, and, you know, he's kind of in hiding as a mobster, right? And this is his family, has to protect him and all the things that go on, and it makes for a fun, you know, thriller type comedy. And, you know, I love Michelle Pfeiffer. I say it every time she's in one of these movies. She does a great job as the wife. And, you know, this was one of those movies where I bought it. We talked about Blind Buys the other day in the unboxing. And, you know, it was based on who was in it. Bought it, and I actually loved it. And I've seen it several times, and I enjoy it every time I watch. I think it's a fun comedy. So another one, if you haven't seen, check it out. All right, so we always talk about going to the past. Well, how about going to the future, right? Tom Cruise, Morgan Freeman, Oblivion. This is one of those movies, at least for me, that I watched a couple times just to kind of go, oh yeah. I mean, I understood it, but I really needed to watch it again to really kind of just take it all in. And it's just that kind of movie, you know. Tom Cruise with that formula, right? This is the kind of movie he's doing: action, adventure, you know, thriller type films. And this is, you know, along the lines of, you know, War of the Worlds, you know, fighting the aliens, fighting, you know, different, you know, it's just different. It's futuristic. So we talk about time travel. Now we get to go to the future and live in a different period that could be, right? And that's what makes it fun too. And I love the way they shoot this, right? Where the way that it's shot and the coloring and stuff makes it almost feel a little bit futuristic as well. And then, like I said, you know, I like Tom Cruise. I like his films. And then you put him with you know, a heavyweight actor like a Morgan Freeman, and you got those two heavyweights going, you know, and it makes for a really good film with a unique, interesting story. And that's, you know, what it's all about. So another really good Tom Cruise film. All right, my runner-up, probably a number one on a lot of your guys' list for 2013, but it is my runner-up, and that is Wolf of Wall Street. Once again, Leonardo, you know, a really great job in this. Not as good as Django, in my opinion, but still really strong. And it goes along with a typical Scorsese true storytelling, right? Where they have the voiceover narrating the story, and then you have the good acting around it. And it's really long, but it's interesting and entertaining, and it makes for a really good film. You know, this guy lived a life of debauchery, right? Women and drugs and, you know, money and all of those kinds of things. And, you know, when you look at the lifestyle, you're like, holy cow, but it makes for a really good movie. And like I said, Leonardo does a really good job in this, and really helps, you know, drive it home. And Margot Robbie's great with him, right? As the wife, she does a really good job. It's the first time really that I was introduced to her in a movie, and she handles him really well as the wife. And the scene with the lemons, and it finally hits them, and the crawling and the driving home and all stuff is just hysterical. Kind of reminded me of that scene in Pulp Fiction where they shoot Marvin in the face, right? You shouldn't be laughing, but you're laughing, and that scene is like that in the movie. There's a few of those in this. But like I said, a really enjoyable film. I really like it. But it's just one of those ones where I'm like, have to be in the mood to watch it. If it's on TV, I might watch some of it, but you have to be in the mood to actually break it out and watch it. So that's why it's number 2 on my list. Like I said, it's probably number 1 on a lot of lists, but for me, it's the runner-up for 2013, which brings me to number 1, which is Two Guns. And yes, this is the movie I wanted to go see at Universal City Walk Theater instead of We Are the Millers. I made a big mistake listening to my friend, but eventually I got to see it, and I absolutely love it. I love the banter between Denzel and Mark Wahlberg. You add in Edward James Olmos, Bill Paxton, phenomenal in this. You know, I'm critical of him at times. You know, I don't think some of his work is okay. I don't think he's that great at times, but he is really good in this as the FBI agent or whatever he is. He's some, you know, government agent. And he's really strong in this. So, you know, the cast is really strong. They're really good. The opening scene's as good as any opening scene in any movie. It just grabs you and gets going. And you know, I love Denzel. So, you know, when you kind of have an action thriller with some comedy in it, and then you got Denzel, you know, once again, I've said it before, sign me up. And I just love this movie, and I'll watch it a million times. It never gets old for me. There's so many great moments in it, and that's why it's my number 1. Yes, Wolf of Wall Street's really good, but I think Two Guns is better. So that's my number 1 for 2013, Two Guns. And then, like I said, on the music side, we've got Volbeat, and we got Ghost. So there you have it. We are done for 2013. We'll be moving on to 2014 tomorrow. Keep leaving those comments. I love it. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you tomorrow.